The girl who followed the human. The desert moon of Ore 7 was dry, hot, and lonely. Ships landed only for fuel or repairs. The outpost had 6 workers, 1 machine dog, and endless sand. But for Ryan, a human mechanic, it was peaceful. He liked working, alone, fixing broken engines and watching stars at night. But peace ended the day Naira appeared. She was small then, thin arms, glowing skin, and big golden eyes. Her voice was soft, but her steps were quick. Ryan found her standing near his tool bench one morning. "You're not supposed to be here," he said. She tilted her head. "Are you Ryan the fixer?" "Who told you that?" "The wind?" she said with a serious face. He laughed. "Cute. Go home, little one." "This is my home," she replied. He tried to ignore her, but she kept coming back. Day after day, she followed him. "What's this do? Why do you wear gloves? Can humans eat metal? Do you dream in color?" Ryan answered some questions. Others he ignored, but secretly he didn't mind. She was bright, kind, full of wonder, and very alone. After a week, he asked, "Where are your parents?" Naira looked down. "They flew away." "When will they come back?" She shrugged. "They won't." That night, Ryan brought her a blanket and a small light. "You sleep here?" "Under the ship," she said proudly. "Why not in the shelter?" "They don't like me there." "Why?" "I talk too much." Ryan smiled. "Yeah, you do," she giggled. Weeks passed. Naira helped him carry tools, clean wires, and test engines. She wasn't strong, but she was careful. She listened. She learned fast, and one day, as they sat under a broken wing watching the sun fall, she said, "When I grow up, I will stay with you forever." Ryan looked at her. "What? You fix things. I want to fix things. We will fix together." He smiled but shook his head. "Naira, I'm human. You're not. I'm older. You're still just a kid. So, it doesn't work that way." She frowned. He softened his voice. "Maybe when you're older." The next day, she was gone. Ryan checked the cliffs, the scrap fields, the landing bay. Nothing. He waited 3 days, then a week. No one knew where she went. He missed her questions, her laugh, her small footprints in the sand. Years passed. Other workers came and went. Ships broke, and Ryan fixed them. He worked harder, talked less, but sometimes when the wind blew at night, he'd hear something. A voice, a laugh, or just silence that felt too full. Then, one evening, as he cleaned rust from a broken panel, he heard footsteps behind him. Soft, steady, not from a child. He turned. A tall figure stood at the edge of the shadows, armor over deep violet skin, eyes golden and calm. "You said to come back when I was older," she said. Ryan dropped his tool. "Naira." She stepped into the light and smiled. The years between stars, Ryan couldn't speak at first. He just stared. The young alien girl who once followed him around with endless questions was now a tall, graceful woman. Her skin still glowed softly, but her eyes were older, wiser. Her armor shimmered with polished stone and metal. One blade hung on her back. Her voice was calm, but her smile held something wild beneath it. Naira had returned, but she was no longer the child he remembered. She stepped forward, boots quiet on the metal floor. "You dropped your tool," she said, picking it up. He finally found his voice. You actually came back. You told me to." "That was a joke." "Not to me." He blinked hard. "Where did you go?" "Far," she said. "Training camps, warrior cities, cold places, sharp teachers, long fights." "Why?" "Because I wanted to be strong enough." "For what?" "For this," she said softly. "For standing in front of you and not being told I'm still too young." He stepped back, unsure what to say. She didn't move. "You were a kid, Naira. And now I'm not." Ryan rubbed the back of his neck. You could have found someone else, someone your own kind. She tilted her head slightly. I didn't want someone else. I wanted the man who gave me a blanket and didn't laugh when I said I wanted to fix ships. He looked away. His hands were shaking again. You've changed, you haven't, she said. And that's why I came back. They sat in silence outside the outpost as 2 moons rose in the sky. She told him stories of her travels, of saving wounded scouts, of climbing crystal towers with blades in her teeth, of failing, of bleeding, of getting back up. And all this, Ryan asked, just because a human once told you to come back when you're older? She smiled. No, he raised an eyebrow, because I wanted you to see who I really am. Not the child, the choice. They walked to the edge of the ridge. The stars were brighter there. Nara pointed to a blue star above the cliffs. I named that one after you. He laughed. You don't get to name stars. Who's going to stop me? He laughed again, this time softer. So what now? He asked. Now, she said, you get to decide if you meant what you said back then. Naira. I didn't know you'd really wait. I did. I didn't know you'd grow up thinking of me. I did. He looked at her face. No tricks. No pressure. Just truth. Then she added quietly, and if you don't want me now, I won't be angry. He blinked. I just needed you to know. I never forgot you. The wind blew softly through the rocks. Ryan sat down beside her. He didn't take her hand, but he didn't walk away either. Let's start with fixing a ship together, he said. Nara smiled. I brought my own tools this time, the woman she became. The next morning, the outpost felt different, brighter, louder, alive. Ryan wasn't used to having company, but Naira didn't act like a guest. She picked up tools, opened storage crates, and moved around like she'd always belonged there. She didn't ask permission, she just helped. You remember how this works? Ryan asked, pointing to a damaged solar coil. Nara smiled. I remember better than you think. She crouched beside the part, ran her fingers along the wiring, and started fixing it. Fast, smooth, focused. Ryan watched in silence. She didn't look like the curious little girl anymore. She looked like a warrior. But more than that, she looked like someone who had become who she wanted to be. And she had returned not as a child needing protection, but as an equal. Where did you learn that technique? Ryan asked. From a human engineer on Beltor 3, she said. He taught me after I saved him from a crash. You saved someone? Twice, she replied. Once from the wreck, once from his own self-doubt. Ryan gave a small smile. Sounds like you're better than me now. She paused, looked at him and said quietly, I didn't come back to be better. I came back to be with you. That line stayed with him the rest of the day. He wasn't sure what to do with it. He'd always remembered her fondly, but as a kid. Now she stood beside him, strong and proud, not needing him, choosing him. And that scared him a little. At sunset, they sat near the engine yard. Old fuel tanks hissed gently as the air cooled. Nara leaned back against a crate and looked at the sky. I used to stare at the stars after you sent me away, she said. I would ask them what older meant. Ryan stayed quiet. Then one night, she continued, I realized it wasn't about time. It was about who I wanted to become. He finally asked, and now that you're back, what do you see in me? She turned her head. I see the man who changed my life with kindness. A long silence followed. Then Ryan said, I was afraid you'd forget. I never forgot, she replied, even when others told me it was childish. He nodded slowly. And now? Now I'm not a child, she said, and I don't want promises. I just want the truth. He looked at her carefully, his voice was soft. The truth is, I missed you. She smiled. The truth is, I thought of you more than I wanted to. She nodded. And the truth is, He paused. You make this place feel like home again. Naira stood and held out her hand. Then let me stay. This time, as me. Ryan looked at her hand for a long second, then took it, not as a guardian, not as a protector, but as someone finally ready to let go of fear, hunted by her own kind. 2 nights after Naira returned, a patrol ship flew low across the desert. Its lights were off. Its sound was silent, but Naira felt it before it came. She stood outside the outpost, staring at the black sky, her eyes sharp, her body still. Ryan stepped out beside her. What's wrong? They're looking for me. Who? My people. Back on her homeworld, Naira's sudden disappearance had not gone unnoticed. She was no longer a child. She was part of the Guardian caste, elite protectors of the ancient code. They trained her, shaped her, gave her status. And now, she had broken their law. She returned to a human without approval. To them, that was betrayal. Inside a cold council chamber, a voice echoed, Naira must return or be taken. She knows secrets. She defies the bond. One warrior asked, what if she resists? The leader answered. Then treat her like the human, remove both. In the outpost, Naira sat by the signal screen. A warning blinked in red incoming scan. Unknown ship. They're close, she said. Ryan frowned. Can't we talk to them? No. They won't listen. Not anymore. Then what do we do? Naira stood. We prepare. She didn't run. She stayed calm. She moved quickly around the outpost, shutting down lights, locking doors, hiding anything that could link her to the human world. Ryan watched her move. This wasn't the same curious girl who followed him around, asking questions. This was a warrior preparing to defend what mattered. You can still leave, she said to him. I'm not leaving you, he replied. If they find me here, then they'll find me too. That night the desert wind picked up. Dust covered the sky and a dark ship landed near the cliffs. 3 figures stepped out. Cloaked, silent, armed. They moved toward the outpost like shadows. Inside, Naira placed a hand on the door. They won't hurt you if I go out alone. Ryan grabbed her wrist. Don't even try. You said I could choose, she whispered. And I choose to protect you. Then let me stand with you. The door opened. Naira walked out first, head high. The figures stopped when they saw her. Naira, one said. You are not allowed here. I came by my own will, she replied. You've broken the law. I followed my heart. Then your bond is broken. Behind her, Ryan stepped out. You talk about bonds, he said. But she's more loyal than any of you. One warrior raised his weapon. Naira moved fast. A blade flew from her hand, cutting through the wind, hitting the ground in warning. You fire, she said. I fight. A pause. Silence. The warriors looked at each other, then turned away. This isn't over, the lead one said, and they disappeared into the ship. As the sky returned to black, Ryan let out a slow breath. You really were ready to fight them. Naira nodded. You said come back when I'm older, she whispered. And you did, he said. Stronger than anyone. They walked back inside together, hand in hand. But both knew. This was no longer just about love. It was about standing against fear. The choice to stay. The morning after the attack, the outpost was quiet again. Too quiet. Naira stood at the edge of the canyon, her eyes scanning the horizon. Ryan was inside checking broken wires and trying to restart the damaged systems. You think they'll come back? He asked through the door. They will, she answered. When? When we least expect. She spent most of the day preparing. She set motion traps, checked the energy fields, moved backup tools near the shelter walls. Ryan noticed something different in her. Not fear, not panic, just focus. He tried to help. But when he climbed up to fix the upper signal array, the old ladder snapped. He fell hard. The sound of bone against metal. echoed through the yard. Naira ran to him. Ryan. He gritted his teeth, holding his side. I'm fine. But he wasn't. She helped him inside. His ribs were bruised. His leg was cut. He couldn't walk without her. She sat beside him as the sun went down. He looked at her, trying to smile. So, this is what getting old feels like. Naira didn't laugh. She gently cleaned his wound in silence. You should go, he whispered after a while. She looked up. What? They'll be back, and now I'm no help to you. Stop. Naira, stop talking like that. He paused. Her hands were shaking. You waited years for me, she said. Trained, survived, grew strong, came back. And? You think I'd leave now? Her voice softened. You told me to come back when I was older. I did. She leaned closer. Now let me stay. He looked into her eyes. No fear, no anger, only love and choice. The night was cold. She kept watch while he slept. He woke once to see her sitting by the door, blade in hand, eyes wide open. She didn't move for hours. She was ready. At sunrise, a message came through the weak signal system. A voice. Old, soft, familiar. Naira, you have a choice. Return and be forgiven, or stay and be forgotten. She didn't answer. She looked at Ryan. He was still asleep. She walked outside, turned her eyes to the pale orange sky, and whispered, I already chose. Proving them wrong. The shuttle arrived 2 days later. It landed not with weapons, but with words. Inside, a message waited, from the High Council. Naira Solari, daughter of flame, return and answer for your bond with the human. No guards, no chains, just truth. Ryan sat beside the console, still sore, leg wrapped in cloth. Are you going? He asked. Naira nodded. Yes. Alone? She looked at him gently. This time, yes. He tried to speak, but she placed a hand over his. I'm not running from them, she said, and I'm not hiding you. Hours later, Naira stood in front of the great dome of her people. Dozens of elders watched her. Warriors lined the walls. The air was heavy with silence. The speaker rose. You left your station, your oath, your place in the line. Naira stood tall. I left to follow something greater. A human, one elder scoffed. A man who gave me kindness when no one else did, she answered. He is not one of us. No, but he never tried to control me, or claim me, or own me. A murmur spread through the hall. The speaker frowned. You broke tradition. Maybe, she said. But I kept truth. An elder asked, do you still choose him? Yes. Even if we cast you out? Yes. Even if no one else follows you? Naira looked around the room, then said softly, I didn't come here to be followed. I came to be heard. She stepped forward and placed a data disk on the center table. This, she said, is proof of corruption in the council's ranks. You hunted me because I chose love, not because I broke law. The room froze. The speaker picked up the disk and scanned it. Data filled the walls. Hidden orders, fake reports, false bounty requests. The crowd began to stir. A young warrior stepped forward. She was marked a traitor because she fell in love? An elder whispered. We were wrong. The speaker sat down slowly. Then what do you want, Naira? He asked. She replied calmly. I want to live in peace with the one who waited for me. I want to fix broken things again, not just ships, but hearts. A silence, then a nod. Your bond is accepted, the speaker said at last. And so is he. Naira exhaled. She didn't smile. Not yet. But she felt lighter. When she returned to the outpost, Ryan was sitting outside looking at the sky. He turned as she approached. How'd it go? He asked. She dropped her bag, sat beside him, and leaned on his shoulder. They listened. She whispered, and we don't have to hide anymore. He smiled. And for the first time, so did she. Not as a fighter, not as a survivor, but as someone finally free, when you're older. Months passed. The desert moon still burned during the day and froze at night. But the outpost was no longer silent. Tools clanked, machines hummed, and two voices often filled the air. One soft, one calm, both at peace. Ryan stood by the engine bay adjusting a solar relay. Naira walked in with a bag of metal chips from the trade ship. "You forgot this," she said, tossing it to him. He caught it with one hand. "I was testing you," she smiled. "And you failed." They laughed more now, not because life was easy, but because it finally felt theirs. The outpost had become a home, half human, half Alari. Traders from both worlds came now, not just for repairs, but for advice. Some came just to see them. One day, Ryan found Naira sitting near the edge of the cliff, sketching stars into the sand with a metal rod. He sat beside her. "What are you, drawing?" "Our beginning," she said. He looked down. She had drawn two small figures, one tiny, one taller, standing side by side under a star. "That's you," she said, pointing to the small one, "when you told me to come back." "And that's you?" he asked. "Me now." She nodded. "The one who came back." He stared at the picture. "Do you remember exactly what I said?" "Yes." "Say it again." She smiled. "Come back, when you're older." He nodded. "Well," he said, "you're older." "I am." "And you came back." "I did." He turned to her fully. "So what now?" She reached for his hand. "Now we stop waiting." They sat there as the sky darkened. The first star appeared, the one she had named after him, and beside it, a new one. Later, inside the outpost, Ryan placed a new sign above the workshop door. "Fixers of two worlds. Ryan and Naira, and far away, on both human and alien planets, stories were told. About a girl who fell in love too young. About a man who waited without knowing he was being waited for. And about the day two worlds came closer, not through war, but through one promise kept. She had fallen for a human when she was too young to understand love, but she returned when she was ready to live it fully, beside the only one who ever made her feel seen.